ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। All the divisions, all the different paths, different techniques, and different ways of doing all these things, they're all available in the Grahastha. Right from the level of atheist, that means to say somebody who doesn't believe in God, or in other words, believe in self, and to the extent where somebody is totally devoted to the God, all of them are available in the Grahastha. Similarly, that somebody who is totally dedicated to the work, and then what are the principles that he has to adapt in the work, and some people who are totally dedicated to the family and working for the family, they're all available, and each is valued. Not that something is less value, something is more value. Everything has a value in this particular society. Only the idea is to see that how we can take it forward. The whole thing is taking forward, both in terms of how we can take society forward and how we can take individual forward. Individual forward is the way that we have divided the whole thing into four different ashramas. The Brahmacharya ashrama has graduated us into Grahastha ashrama. Now, whatever the practices, whatever the ideas that are there in Grahastha ashrama, will be further helping us to see that how we can go graduate into Vanaprastha ashrama and ultimately Sannyasa ashrama. When we say Vanaprastha Sannyasa, it does not mean that somebody is leaving the society, family, and all that going away. It's basically an internal transformation. It is like the way that a fruit ripens from within. This ripening process is what is this four ashramas that are provided in the human being. He may be living in the same place, but at the same time, he is something graduated himself to see that he's at a different level altogether. And his type of activity, type of involvement, values, everything he naturally takes a forward stride in that direction. So that's what is the idea. This society is there. Because that there is such a big variety that we have adapted. Unfortunately, what happened in the other cultures, they just have one technique, one method, one way of doing it. But here it is not like that. Like, for example, church is one place where everybody believes in, everybody goes there, and they have given, and because that it fits into everybody, so they made it very simple in the sense that Sunday you go and serve the mass, whatever it is, whatever little service is to be done, do that so that you are satisfied. So you are doing something in the name of church, for the sake of church. That is what is basically the way that Christianity has given. And apart from that, I have been to places in Europe, and what I saw, most of the time the church Sundays mass is more like people come with nice, wonderful dress, and particularly elderly people, that they dress very nicely and then come there socializing kind of a thing. And there's always some sales things are there. Some villagers do some various things and all that. They bring them for the sale. It's a very small little amount, so that you pay something like 5 euros, 10 euros, and buy something. And it's not even a burden for you, but the person who sells, he gets that. And particularly that those persons will come from remote villages, it's fine for them. Not big money, but only the activity that was there in the church. So these are the things which are the way that the church does. And other thing is that the church is maintained by the government, actually, that they provide certain amount of percentage from your earning salary to go towards the church. In fact, the very first day that you enter into the job, there is a form where you say that you belong to the church, which church that you have to give, and which denomination, and either something like about 5%, 10%, something like that, they give it. And people don't even mind that. So it's going on. The church is becoming rich because people give that money, and the church Otherwise, and then they do any activity, people put at the church saying that you do these activities, which are supposed to be the volunteer social activities. The church will do it. And even volunteer social activities, which they say, the people they employ for these volunteer social activities, they pay for that. They pay for this people who employed there. So there is what is supposed to be a volunteer activity, it is still paid. Whereas in our culture, there are two things that are there. As I said, verticals are provided, the governing is something separate, and the knowledge is something separate. And the church or the temple and all those things come to this knowledge. And the knowledge has two components. One is the secular knowledge component, and the other is the social knowledge, the spiritual knowledge component. So it is completely excluded from that. And there, nobody, no government supports this. And we, the individual, we pay whatever that is there to the um, institutions to see that how we can. And so therefore, each area, several institutions are there, depending upon your faith, your logic, your argument. Everything has these two components. One is the component of ritual that we do, and the second thing is the philosophy behind it. So we have a philosophy. Somebody has Advaita philosophy, Visishta Advaita philosophy. Similarly, like that, Shakti Visishta Advaita, another philosophy. Innumerable number of philosophies are there. Some people they follow not only these things, but there are other things also which are there in the Grahasthashrama. Somebody follows Sai Baba, somebody follows Shirdi Baba, and somebody follows some yogi, some sannyasi in their own area, and they try to support him. So this is how you can see that there are so many branches, so many different things that are there existing in the society, and that's how Sanatana Dharma is there. When you look at this arrangement of Sanatana Dharma, people think that there is no unity in Sanatana Dharma, but it is not true. The idea is that we all belong to the same Sanatana Dharma. Only thing is that all these things are, we try to support the line of thinking that our own people do it. And the same thing has applied now when it comes to the yoga also. You see that there are several purification of yoga centers, yoga organizations. It doesn't have to belong to one particular yoga center, yoga organization like that. Earlier, when it started the journey, yes, there was one person by name Shivananda, and actually most of the people who have given the yoga, they were all disciples of Shivananda and of Rishikesh. See, whether it is Bihar School of Yoga or whether it is the um, Kriya Yoga, all those things they come from Shivananda Yoga. Not only that, even Chinmayananda, for a while that he was in Shivananda Ashrama. Only thing is Ramakrishna Ashrama separately developed. So this is how basically, and there are some people who are like Ramana Maharshi or Jai Krishnamurti, they're just independent. They don't have any institution, they didn't develop any institution. Just people follow, come to them. These are apart from the basic four ashramas that Shankaracharya built on that basis of taking care of the four Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda. So therefore that they are there like this. Now, because that there are so many different organizations having different ideological and all that, there is an idea, there is a need for the developing their own symbolic way of representation. It's a very beautiful thing that they have. One thing is that if you are a person who is supporting the religious movement, religious philosophy, religious ideas, very clear it is that secularism is something like that which is going on, but we give the religious teachings. Yeah. And it is our teachings are based on your own sadhana and motivate individual into the sadhana. That is something which is very important. The moment when we say sadhana, one thing that we should recognize in this particular Sanatana Dharma is that there are people who do the miracles and all those things, but we didn't give much importance to these miracles. If somebody has the miraculous power, miraculous way of looking at it, fine, it is for him, but it doesn't help me. My anger, my hatred, my jealousy, my fear, my these things, I have to conquer myself. I need to develop the samyamendriya, samyatendriya, control over myself. I have to do it for myself. I have to work on that. This is what Shastras again and again said. Like, for example, in the Chandogya Upanishad, when the discussion goes on between the Sanat Kumaras and Narada, Narada goes to Sanat Kumar says, I read all these things. I have all this knowledge. Mrugadhyami, Kshatravidhyami, Nakshatravidyamadhyami. All these things I learned. But still, I'm worried. I'm miserable. My mind wall is giving me so much of trouble for me. He says that Shocham. Then the Sanat Kumar's reply that you need to practice the sadhana so that you go forward. Shokam tarati atmavidu. Atmava aresh shrotavya mantavya nididhyasya. This is what is the way that he provides the idea, saying that you need to sit down and do the sadhana. The same way that even in the story of Prahlad also, when Hiranyakashipa was questioning Prahlada, Prahlada says everywhere Vishnu is there, and Hiranyakashipa challenges him. You mean to say that in the pillar there is Vishnu? And he laughs and says, when I say everywhere, it means this also. In you also Vishnu is there, in me also Vishnu is there, like that, Prahlada says. And then you see that Narasimha comes out, a Bhivatsa form, and then he eliminates the Hiranyakashipa. Prahlada has become orphan because his father is died. So he was crying. At that time, various things happened, and then Vishnu was cooled down. And then after cooling down, Vishnu says, okay, Prahlad, now you take care of yourself. I give you all that you require. Your life is comfortable. And then let me go to my Vaikuntha because I need to take care of the work there. But whenever you require, you want, I will come back to you. And then Vishnu goes away, and then immediately Prahlad also remembers Vishnu. Vishnu comes back again and says that, Prahlad, what is this? Just now I left you and now you called me. Prahlad says, everything is all right, but my mind is still restless. And for that, Vishnu says, that restless mind, you have to do meditation, you have to conquer yourself. That I can't help it. No God can help it, no miracles can help it. You have to do by yourself. This is a very important message that we need to understand. The Grihastha Ashrama is an ashrama of karma bhumi. It's not the question of that somebody has miracle, you just go, touch the feet, everything will be all right. Unfortunately, this is how basically these miracles and miracle mongers are the part of this unfortunate the Sanatana Dharma, where it is basically that self-effort is something which is most important thing. That's why we say it is called as the sadhana. Sadhana is that you have to do it. It's not that somebody else will just put his hand on your head and things will be solved. One thing is that you have to have that humility. And for that humility, you bow down. But does not mean that person is going to help you to further spiritual growth. But look at the way, how much, unfortunately, that people going in that direction. So there are people like that, they are caught by these miracles and they run behind it because that people will give them, bestow them, something like that. In fact, in the case of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also, when Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, when people, in the beginning, people did not know that a temple priest is there at Dakshineshwar, who is like that. Then people started knowing about it, more and more people started coming. I said, he is God and he can give you anything that he touches you and then you'll be solved. And like that, the rumor spread because there are always people who are interested in this kind of thing. So you just go to Ramakrishna and he will touch you or he will bless you, touch his feet, then you will be clear. So then suddenly that there were throngs of people used to come to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Hundreds of people used to come. And then once it so happened when this was happening, then suddenly Ramakrishna fell down and then broke his arm. And then his arm was in the sling because it was recovering. The moment he broke his arm, immediately 90% people said that if he is God, how can he break his arm? He may not be God. So therefore they left off. And Ramakrishna laughed and said that mother broke my hand to see that all these unwanted junk people and all that, they left me. Now the true sadhakas are there with me. They are the disciples who are there till the end with Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So that means sadhana is your own. Again and again, this kind of messages are there by everybody. like Ramana Maharshi also said that you find out who you are. That search, you have to do it. I can't help it. You can come to me and sit down and get the peace, but then inquiry is your own. So our sadhana is something which way self-effort is given. If here is self-effort is given, and that self-effort we need to apply in every activity. That is the reason why last time also I was saying that Grihasthashrama, you can't look for any favor or anything like that. The moment you are looking for a favor, that means that somebody is telling you that you are weak and I can give you something. Free bees is like that. You can't earn a computer, therefore I'll give you computer. You can't earn it to pressure cooker, I'll give you a pressure cooker, provided you vote for me. All these things are weakening the society. We have a strong society, we were a strong society where we didn't beg, we didn't look for any favors from anybody. We did for ourselves. This is what Bhishma says in Mahabharata war. He says that in my long life, I never prayed any god for any favor. I did everything myself. He says that I did everything because of the Swayam Prayatna. And some success, some failure, all those things happened. But I was there behind it. I never asked for any favor from any god. I did not go to the god asking for any favor. Only today, this was happened in the battlefield. Today, I feel like praying to the wind god. He is not praying. I feel like praying to the wind god, not any other god, wind god. So that Krishna and Arjuna were discussing something in the battlefield. I was feel like praying the wind god that blow from that side to this side so that a few words I can also hear. What a humility it is there. What an extraordinary understanding that is there. This is the part of our culture. In our culture, we did for ourselves whatever is supposed to be done. It is your sadhana, it is your growth. Alright, somebody produces some vibhuti, somebody does some miracles and all that. He does miracles, he whatever produces, that's for him. It's nothing to do with me. Fine, there are some people who are impressed by all those things, but those things do not impress me. If that person genuinely is spiritual and his message is spiritual, which can guide me in my spiritual sadhana, yes, I will go there. Otherwise, I humbly pranam, do my pranam to him and come out of it. How much this miracles has happened in this society, it's terrible. And the same thing that you can see even in the other religions also, I see that not only in Sanathana Dharma, they're there, but in the other religions also it happened like that. Like, for example, there were evangelists who come to convert people into Christianity. And there's a big evangelist show somewhere in Bombay or something like that. And you know what they show is that somebody has come with some like fits that he was behaving like that. And he was fine, he was good. He said something, and the evangelist touched his forehead. The moment he touched it, he went into all that uh, movement, which is like the somebody has the fits. And then he fell down, he pushed him, he fell down. And then while he was on the ground also, he was moving his hands and legs as if he was completely caught up with something like that. Meanwhile, the phone rang in his pocket, cell phone. When the phone rang, he suddenly got up, took the phone, and then somebody suggested to go to the side. So he went to the side. Actually, camera was showing. And there he was speaking to his friend and said, क्या हुआ कैसा हुआ ये होना चाहिए वो होना चाहिए all that. Afterwards he said, अरे मैं अभी तो शो में हूँ. I'll call you back after about 15, half an hour. And then he put the phone back in his pocket, came back in between the people, and then again he fell down and then started making the movement. And people were following him, people were respecting him. My God, I was wondering how stupid people are. In spite of the fact that he has shown that it was something like a drama bazi, but then people didn't follow. This is what happens with the case of miracles. Miracles are something which is deviating you from the path of spirituality. We had such a strong social structure, spiritually oriented social structure, brahmacharya, vanaprastha, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa, ashrama, and all the details are given, and still that we get caught up in that. And in this society, we all have all kinds of people that we have Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Now, as I said, that there are several things, several groups that are there. The groups, they have their own symbols. The symbols are so very important because symbol actually touches your emotions, touches your bhavana. It was so beautifully said that in Sri Vaishnava, they put the bindi up a vertical line. And the indication of vertical line, it is a philosophy that they have, is that let us start until that body that we have, body mind complex is there. We come to the Ajna Chakra. Ajna Chakra is between the eyebrows. Until that time that the world supplies information. But all that information should help us to go in the vertical direction to the Sahasrara, upward. And it does not go there. So you have to indicate, you have to show that you are you are connected with that journey in the upper direction. That's what is the Siddhanta, philosophy of Visishtadvaita. This is the philosophy of Ramanuja. But how many people really know about this philosophy? How many people are really putting that bindi? They're looking at that particular thing. But then it is something like this, that mark is there. That means it's Visishtadvaita. He follows Ramanuja. At least there is one thing that is there, the practices that they are doing, the beliefs that they are, the technology that they employ, it's all Vishishtadvaita. So therefore, that group has their own identity. Similarly, the horizontal lines, three horizontal lines, they indicate actually three Vedas. It's just symbolic. Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda. Atharva Veda came much later. And these three Vedas given by the three lines. So that means there's somebody who is putting that three lines, that is Shaivite. He follows Smarta. They follow these Vedic knowledge and they try to understand, propagate idea about this Vedic knowledge. That is there. A dot that we put is something which is so extraordinary. The dot shows that we are Hindu and we follow the Sanathana Dharma. For that, actually, how many mantras that are there, how many shlokas are there, which are talking about this dot, even for the men. Like, for example, there is a shloka about Krishna is there. Kasturi tilake lalata phalake, vakshasthale kaustuvam. Like that for Vishnu and Shiva, Vishnu and Krishna. It is given the idea. So tilaka, kasturi tilakam, that means to say the dot that we have in the forehead is something which is a symbol which is even for the men, for the women, it is equal. So that was the kind of thing. Unfortunately, what happened over a period of time, we gave for men and women have it. Even that also in societies, they're afraid of putting that mark as if it's a symbol. It's something that identifies that you are a Hindu, you are a Sanatan Dharmi. So where is the question of fear? Why we have to hesitate? Somehow, unfortunately, the last about 100, years of rule made us to feel that we are finding inferiority about our own culture, our own religion. Let us try to come back to that particular position where we consciously, happily, proudly put these marks. Look at the way how important that mark is there. Like a married girl, at the marriage time, there's a particular ceremony that they put the sindoor on the forehead where the hair splits and then in between that hair they put this Vardhan mark. It's such a beautiful thing. It gives such a wonderful feeling. Everybody adores that. And that's what is Sindhur. And now look at how important that particular symbol is, that when the recent attack happened in Pahalgam and the fight that the government has taken against that particular thing is called as Operation Sindhur. And the word that Operation Sindhu has really attracted so many people, millions of people in this country, not only in this country, outside the country, people recognize the importance of that Sindhu. What an important thing it is. Similarly, we are supposed to have this three different vows together with us. Tridandi. That's why they are called as Tridandi Swamiji. That means to say, basically, I have a vow for myself, vow for the society, and vow for the family. So, therefore, that we do these kind of things that are there, it's a symbol that we have. And that same thing has carried out in the form of Singol. That means you take a oath that you follow certain things. It's you subject yourself to a discipline. It is also said that where the highest discipline, Brahmin is supposed to be one who is the highest of discipline. such a way that he doesn't have any possession, he cannot have any possession, he has only the wisdom. And not only that, he is a person who gives the decisions. He has a wisdom, he gives the decision should not be biased. Therefore, he has no attraction for money, no attraction for women, no attraction for property. So Brahmin is supposed to be the poorest of the lot. He doesn't have anything. So Brahmin does not have anything else. And not only that, he has so much of a discipline that in his life. On half of the days that he cannot have food in the evening because of some reason or the other. And other days also there are monthly ones that there is one day that they don't have food whole day and they'll be fasting, they'll be sitting and meditating. They'll be getting up early in the morning, go to the river to take bath. So all these things were there. Basically, the idea is that the greater the discipline that you have, as I always keep saying, that every discipline strengthens our willpower. So Brahmin is supposed to be the one who has the highest of the willpower, and therefore that he is supposed to be the person who take a decision and who gives a decision. And generally, the decisions are supposed to be balanced, neutral. It's not taking a biased opinion. It is purely taken from the point of view of wisdom. Whereas the next one is Kshatriya. Kshatriya has a power, has a strength, has an organizational ability. Therefore, the Kshatriya is the next person. And that the amount of discipline that Kshatriya has is more of a physical strength and physical stamina, and also in the mental agility that they have. And we have that kind of a training in the case of Kshatriyas. And particularly, we have seen recently the way that it is projected in the case of Rana Pratap. What an amount of rigorous discipline that he had, so that you are supposed to fight the army, fight the enemy. So therefore, basically, you need to have equip with all that kind of strength and all that. But your commitment is supposed to be for the sake of protecting the Sanatana Dharma, protecting the society. The Grihasthas also is a Kshatriya who takes care of the society, takes care of the Dharma. That was his idea. Special groups were formed for that. And we have the recent times is that the Sikh group is formed to see that we protect. And for that, from every house, one child is given so that they have that vow to see that they take care of the society. That's how the society is formed with the Kshatriya. The same thing happened in the central part of India also, that somebody who takes ready to fight, ready to protect our dharma, they were supposed to be the Reddis. Reddy community is developed to see that they protect this society, committed for that. Kshatriyas, hardcore Kshatriyas. Particularly if you read Adavi Bapiraj's Telugu novel on Gonaganna Reddy, you can see that how extraordinary that it is there. And there's another Alluri Sitaramarajan, because I was reading all those things in the Telugu area. So therefore, Alluri, he was also another Kshatriya. And the way that they fought the nation, the protected the people, society from the invasion, it shows that they're committed for that. Vaishya is supposed to take care of the material. Very beautifully said by uh, Kautilya Arthashastra says that a true Vaishya is somebody who knows the value of the material. And it is not the question of that profit should not be his goal. Profit is natural for him. Then only he is Vaishya. Anything that he will do it, he will see that it has a profit. But when it is natural profit, then he doesn't want to unnecessarily increase the profit or decrease the profit for no reason. So therefore, that it's a very calculated standard kind of a thing. More important thing is he should know where the material, where it has to go, what is necessary. More training of Vaishya is supposed to be in that direction. In fact, there is a sutra which I don't have it right now, but I read that sutra which says that the Shudra is somebody who knows exactly where is the work, what kind of work is there. He doesn't hesitate what time it is, just go and give this work for that and see that everything is taken care of. These are the four different powers, and that is there in the society. We have in the society Shudra, we have in the society Brahmana. Kshatriya, Vaishya. But all these people take an advice from the Brahmana who himself does not have anything. All that what he has is a very simple dress and simple house, nothing beyond that. Chanakya was the greatest of the Brahmins of the recent times, and he was the person when Navanandas threw him out, the king Nanda threw him out because of arrogance and because of his attachment to the material comfort that he did not care for this Brahmin. He threw him out. When he came out, he collected the young boy by name Chandragupta, created that he is from the Maurya Vamsha, and see that he has removed Navanandas. But himself, that remained as only a Brahmana, an advisor to this king. He did not have any possessions. But Vikramaditya, Chandragupta used to give so much of respect for him, extraordinary respect. But then there was, in the Navananda's time, that there was a minister who was a Rakshasa Amatya, and he said that he was extraordinary, wonderful minister. But only thing is that he was under the Navanandas, therefore that we should bring him out, and then he will do wonderful work for even Chandragupta. So he brought him to Chandragupta. But then, in spite of the fact that even before Chandragupta was there, they knew each other, and it is Chanakya who brought the Amatya to this Chandragupta's place. Every time that the king used to nod his head whenever Chanakya says something. That means he was looking that Chanakya is more favored than himself, so feeling a bit of jealousy. And that jealousy made him to feel that this Chanakya is getting some additional favors from the king. And what could be the additional favor? It may be in the form of money or whatever it is. So therefore, that he must be having something on that. But to look at his personality, he is a very simple person. He doesn't have anything big. And so he said he must be having it as a place or somewhere like that. So one day, this Rakshasa Madhya followed Chanakya in the evening after the everything is work is over. Then Chanakya is going to his home, everything inside the forest, and then clandestine from behind, this fellow went there. When he went all the way to Chanakya's house, that is there, he was all alone in a small little. It was like a hermitage. There was nothing else. And there he saw, the description goes that, the Chanakya, the Brahmin, carries the darbha grass in his hand. And darbha grass, that they put the darbha for everything. And then he put it on top there on the gable, and the gable was actually wobbling. That means to say the house is so flimsy. And there Chanakya stays. And he doesn't have anything excepting the mat that is there and the vessel containing water. He was shocked. He said, what a life Chanakya lives. He sleeps on the mat, drinks water, and then spends whole time at the kingdom. So he fell down to the feet of Chanakya and said, please pardon me, I doubted you. And Chanakya says that I know that you doubted me for the last 1 month or 2 months. And the way that your movement, I was following it. That you are doubting me, my every movement. And therefore that I thought that you will definitely come behind me one day to see where I live. And today you have come and seen that where I live. I think you are convinced about it. He's saying that if I had told, it would not have that impact. Seeing is something which is much more than 100 words can talk about it. So that's what you have done. I'm so very glad. So that's why Rakshasa Matya was serving, though he was serving Navananda, but after that he was serving that Guptas also, and then they continued in that particular way. This is what is the Brahmana story about. How simple, and look at the way that in our culture that there were Brahmanas or Swamijis who were guiding these kings all the time, right from the, like for example, Vishwamitra Vasishta was there at the place of Dasharatha. And Dasharatha was a king, and kingdom is there, he has palaces. But Vasishta used to live outside in a small little hermitage. And Dasharatha used to go to Vasishta's place. It's not that Vasishta he would summon, he would go there. The same way that Janaka, supposed to be a great king, he was also Brahmajnani, but he had a Brahmin who was guiding him, sannyasi. It was Shatananda. And Shatananda was also like that, living in a small little hermitage, and he was staying there. And he had his disciple, who was Gargi, and she was also like that. So all these things show that how much that we have respected for somebody who has less material possessions, but greater discipline within and then glory from inside. That's why the Shastra says, in fact, yesterday itself I was talking about in Mandukya Upanishad, Vipranam Vinayo Heshaha Shamakaranamujjate Damaha Prakriti Dantatvat Edad Vidwan Shamam Brajet. Somebody who has extraordinary wonderful knowledge like a Brahmana is supposed to be Vipra. And such a person, what is that he shines by? Vinayo Heshaha. That means it is supposed to be the humility. And Shamaha Prakrita Muchyate. That means the nature gives them Shama. That means to say the peace, calmness, and then harmony. They always be in that peace, conscious harmony. And Vinayo Hesha, Shamaha Prakrita Muchyate, and Damaha Prakriti Dantatvat. The discipline is given by the nature itself. Prakriti Dantatvat. Etad Vidvan Shamamrite. Naturally comes in the form of self-discipline that they have. Once you discipline means basically that any object that is there outside attracting me, I disconnect myself from the object, and then my goal, I'll get back to my goal, which is supposed to be journey in the spiritual direction. So this is what is the important idea of having the Sanatana Dharma, the idea of this. That's the reason why Brahmana is supposed to be held high. I don't know why that, because Brahmana has the knowledge, Brahmana has the clarity in thinking and presenting ideas, and Brahmana is the one who is responsible for Sanatana Dharma's survival. That's the reason why the other religions they attacked Brahmins. And they have given innumerable number of stories they have written to see that Brahmins suppressed the whole other castes, particularly Shudra is suppressed by the Brahmin, which was never the reality. In fact, in the history, there is nothing like that, but the people have projected that way. And a lot of people also, they were carried by these stories, ideas, and all that. They thought it's happened. And that is the reason why they are saying that we should remove this concept of caste system. But caste system is the one, it's not actually, first of all, Varnashrama Dharma is supposed to be a caste system. It's not a caste system. You are not cast into it. Basically, you are in the position by doing the discipline. We have such a extraordinary, wonderful example that Vishwamitra was supposed to be a king, but then by the discipline, he rises to the level of Brahmarshi. And that is a beautiful story behind how Vishwamitra became Brahmarshi, earned that position. So it is, and the same thing happened in the case of Upanishad also. It says that when Nachiketa, when Shvetaketu says to his father that I'm after all a Brahmin, and his father says, Uddalaka says that Shvetaketu, nobody born in the family is Brahmin. Brahmin one becomes that. So that shows that it is not just what is more important is the internal discipline that we follow. That's something which is extraordinary. Now I said these symbols that are there, a lot of symbols are very important. We need to follow that. And that brings people together. And various symbols that we have, it is directly connected with the emotion. Don't ask intellectual questions about the symbol. And people try to give explanations also. Like a very simple thing is you have a nice, wonderful vermilion mark, the kumkum mark on your forehead. Yes, it's beautiful. All right, it is a position where the Agnya Chakra is there. But it does not mean that you have to give all kinds of explanation. Energy flows there, energy flows out of it. Let's not unnecessarily become slaves of this scientific verbatim. Let's not worry about that. In fact, there is one science philosopher, philosophy of science professor from Harvard University, American. When he came to Prashanti, when people tried to see that, everything is scientific way to understand, scientific to develop, he told me personally, he said, Raghuram, I don't know why you are so much caught up with the science. He said that as if science is something great, because as a philosophy of science, I'm a professor of dean of philosophy of science in Harvard, not all the. I know what are the shortcomings in science. Yoga is something which is beyond science. Hindu culture is something which is beyond science. It's a practical way of life. It's not a science. So we have to go beyond the level of science. Let's not try to give an explanation. There are some explanations which are there. Like, for example, if a tender child is in the mother's womb and then suddenly there is a change that occurs from full moon to no moon, full sun to no sun. That's what is the grahana. At that time, that sudden changes might bring about a change in the mother's womb or mother. It's a tender level. But otherwise, it should not be a matter for us. But people made such a big issue about these things. They said that, oh, today is the total solar eclipse. Nobody comes outside, nobody moves this thing. You cannot allow the sunlight to fall on you. I've seen how absurd level that people go to. We had such people that in Bangalore, like H. Narasimhaya, and there was a group. On the full moon, solar eclipse, when the eclipse was there, they were sitting in the plate of food, sitting outside under the sky and then eating food. I said that nothing happens. See, you are so strong. Your internal strength is so much, your willpower is so strong. None of these things matter. Be strong with that. Only under the very special circumstances, these things matter. Let's come out of these, what is called as the blind faith kind of things. There are so many such things are there in this culture. We have to get out of it. You see that how we can modernize. In fact, in the recent years, in the last 20, 15 years itself, I've seen that the women, when they have the periods that they are supposed to be blood there, earlier they didn't know what is the reason for this blood, so therefore they thought it is infectious. They kept the women away for two reasons. One is that women those three days are taking a resting period. They do the activities which are simple, soft kind of thing, but then they don't have it doing any heavy work. But they were cared in the society, in the family. They're isolated. But now today we understand, we know all the means to see that how women can continue to work with the period time also in those days, 3, 4 days. And there are some precautions we need to take, medicines are developed, all that is available. But in spite of it, I have seen that some software engineers who went to America, all 3 days that their wife used to be there on the balcony, not looking at anybody else, and then all the curtains were there, as if she was under special quarantine. I said, I laughed at. I said, come on, come out of it. Don't have these things. Why we make all these things very, uh, uh, there's what orthodox and blind faith ridden kind of a society. If we do that, the society, Sanatana Dharma, can never march forward. Particularly at the Grasta level, we need to come out of these blind faith, blind kind of things. A lot of things need that kind of a reformation. Every time every saint has come to give that reformation to us. Shankara gave first person to give that reformation to us, saying that try to think of it, try to look at this. Jnana Yoga is something which is important. Spiritual knowledge is something which is important, he was given. But in spite of it, he was also subjected to that kind of blind, orthodox, kind of meaningless kind of a practice. When his mother died, when he was young, he took the sannyasa from the mother, he went away. And he wandered like a sannyasi. And his mother said, one promise that she has taken from him is when she is dying, his son should be there with her. Shankara gave that promise. And intuitively, Shankara has that idea that mother is on the deathbed. Not many days she will survive. She was in Badrinath, and then he came all the way running from Badrinath. In 1 week, he reached his home. Mother is still aware, alive, and leaving her body. So at the time of death, he was there with her, consoled her, made her peaceful to see that she lived. But then the Orthodox at that time were so strong that Are Shankara is a sannyasi, that he is not connected with the mother, connected with the family. He cannot do the last rite and all that. They boycotted him. And Shankara had to carry his mother all alone by himself, takes her to the cremation ground and cremated her and did all the rites for himself. And he was also like that. The same way, Buddha, when he came, he also gave the idea that meditation is something which is very important. All the puja that you do it, make it in such a way that it should be hygienical. In fact, you look at the temples, how everything is thrown, particularly the akshata, everywhere it is there, people walk on that, and the water is spread everywhere, and the flowers, it becomes totally messy. Buddha said, don't do all that messy kind of thing. You make an arrangement to see that somewhere you do it. But Buddha himself was sent out from the Hindu culture. He was the greatest of the reformers in the case of Sanathana Dharma, but he was thrown out of Sanathana Dharma. That's why people followed him separately. Even at the time when the Nagarjuna has written about Buddha and Buddha's philosophy and all that, Buddha was still a Hindu Sanatan Dharmi. But only thing is, after that, people made him as Buddhism separate. And not only that, he said he disliked Hinduism. It is not a question of disliking Hinduism. He wanted a reform to take place. That's why you can see that go to any of the Buddha's aramas and you see all that. There's one place where they put all the incense so that the dust and the smoke will not go everywhere. And all the Buddha images are clean, neat, and you can touch them. You can every day that cleaning these, not putting water, not putting all those things, is the basic ritual that they do it. It's so beautiful. Go to the Buddha temple, it is like this. Even if there are about 30 different Buddhas are there, every Buddha is made clean and white. Actually, most of the Buddhas are white marble. You can see the beautiful pictures of Buddha in that. But then some Orthodox fellows, once again, they're also at them. One Orthodox fellow who was also a Buddha's disciple, Buddhistic fellow, and he used to carry one small little white Buddha along with him wherever he would go. And all the other Buddhas are there, he would keep that Buddha in along with them and offer his prayers, offer his dhoop, this, that, and all those things that he would do it, fine. But where all the big Buddhas are there, and then his small Buddha that was there, he kept there, suddenly he has a thought that these big Buddhas, they take away all the fragrance of this dhoop stick that he says, it will not go to his Buddha. And he is putting all those things for the sake of his Buddha. Therefore, what happened is that he took a paper a, and then made a nice, wonderful tube out of it. And then where the dhoop sticks were there and all that, where he put it, put that tube all the way to the nose of his own Buddha. Because he thought that he is putting all this incense for the sake of his Buddha. He put it in such a way that reaches his Buddha's nose. He was very happy that he really worked out very well. But next day when he came, he found out something naturally unpleasant that happened to him. And that is because that whole smoke went into his Buddha's nose. They say next morning when he saw that, his Buddha, the white face has become completely soot covered black. This is what happens. Your own orthodox behavior will make your gods full of soot. And who created? You created. That's why don't be like that. Even the Buddha, it's not that this Buddha, that Buddha is important, but what is important is the heart that you have and you're doing for the sake of Buddha. That's what is important. Unfortunately, today it so happened Buddhism has been separated from Hinduism, though Buddha himself was a great Hindu monk, because basically that of all the things that Buddha is the person who has given lift to the sadhana, this whatever that Patanjali has given in the form of dharana, dhyana, samadhi, that Hindus have almost had forgotten about that, and Buddha gave importance to that. That's why you see that mindful meditation, etc., vipassana meditation, all these things came from the idea of Buddha that has come out. But they all belong to Hinduism. There is nothing out there, Sanatana Dharma, nothing out of it. So this is how all these various uh, practices, idea. But very important aspect is that we need to have the practices. Our Sanatana Dharma, most important thing is a practice for yourself to do it. It is for you to grow. It is you to do the sadhana. It may be going to the temple, it may be sitting at your God and praying, or it may be following some rituals and all those things to see that you always work for your own self development, self growth. That's something which is there. And this kind of an approach of doing something for the self is only available in Sanatana Dharma. And there is nothing like this idea in the Western culture. But people were saying that, but even in Christianity, there must have been this meditation. But let me tell you what is this meditation term, how it came to equivalent to dhyana that we have. Actually, dhyana is translated as meditation. First person who translated dhyana into meditation was Vivekananda. Before that, because nobody has brought the Hindu culture outside, nobody need to put any idea in English. The first person who had to put the things in the English perspective was Buddha, Vivekananda. When he was given talks in Parliament of World Religions, he became popular. Then he went on giving series of talks on Raja Yoga. And while giving talks on Raja Yoga, then he had to explain about Ashtanga Yoga. While explaining Ashtanga Yoga, when he said about dharana is holding. That is what they do. Then he said, we have to hold it, and that's what is concentration. He said, that's all right. But then when he had to explain about dhyana, he didn't know what is the word that he has to use it. So initially he started using the term called as concentration too, but he himself was not satisfied. So later on, he used the word called as contemplation, and then he came up with dhyana is equivalent to meditation. Of course, samadhi didn't have a problem because samadhi is total absorption. So that's how concentration and meditation, and then finally samadhi is supposed to be absorption. These things he settled down. Then I was wondering, where is this word called as meditation? He picked up Vivekananda. Then I found out in the ancient European culture, before the Jesus Christ was there were saints. And a saint is recognized by the way that he would heal people. God and the saint, they heal the people. That's how they recognized a saint. So, in fact, that's what happened in the case of Mother Teresa also, that they given the list of people who are healed by Mother Teresa's touch. Therefore, she was anointed with the idea that she was a saint. Mother Teresa became a Saint Teresa. That was the idea. So the idea of healing the people would come. I happened to go to East Europe and one small old monasteries. Monasteries, they showed me the paintings of various sages, various saints. I was looking at the saints and they said these are the saints who were there from the ancient times and all that. And one thing I noticed was that in their hands, they had some herbs, a bunch of herbs in their hand. And I asked, every saint has this herbs. What is the significance of that? The saint is somebody who identifies, who knows that there are herbs which can help you to heal. So therefore, they would gather these things. That's the reason why they are supposed to be saint. People would come to the saints to heal. So therefore, they would come, and this herbs, then portion of that herb giving is called as medication, and they pray to the Jesus Christ or earlier the God, God in heaven to see that heal them. That prayer to heal them is what is called as meditation, and giving this herb is called as medication. These two words are synonymous to each other. This was in the ancient culture that was there. Vivekananda picked up that idea of meditation and gave translation of dharana, dhyana as meditation. Now later on people have become that adapted that word. But we should understand one thing. Dhyana is not what you do with the mind. Dhyana is what you do to the mind so that you transcend the mind, go to consciousness. Whereas medication is what you do with the mind. You pray to a God to see that you are not healing, God is healing. Bringing that humility is something which is very important in the case of meditation in English term that it is there. But let us try to understand meditation is not what you do with the mind, but meditation is what you do to the mind. So we always had these practices in Grihastha to see that what I can do to the body to see that I transcend the body, what I do to the mind to see to do to the prana to transcend the prana. Similarly, what I do to the mind to see that I transcend the mind, so that I become one with the self. This practice, this journey in the Grihastha by various techniques of yoga, various methods that are there, I do that. Then slowly, steadily, that enables me to see that I can go to the next step, and that's what is Vanaprastha. So we have to prepare ourselves to go to that Vanaprastha, and Grihastha is a wonderful stage to go into that. Therefore, basically, it is said that this world, this world where we are born and we grow, is a karma bhumi. That means we have to do the activity to so that we grow ourselves, we discipline ourselves, we go. So this is the journey that we need to make. So I'll stop it here, and so many other ideas are there. I think I'll try to look at some of these things in the next. Very important idea that was supposed to be uh, in the Sanatana Dharma, basically, it always empowers you. Individual is responsible, not the society, not the God, not anybody else outside. We are responsible. We take it forward. The society, we take it forward, the family, and we take forward the spiritual journey of us. This is what is the idea that we try to bring about. The last class, probably in Sanatana Dharma, the Grihastha, and that will help us to understand. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'll stop it here. Any questions or anything? Unmute. Nice, Gaurav. See you after a long time.
Yes, Raghuramji. Thank you.
Welcome. So it seems no more questions. So we can close the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Raghuramji.
Oh, thank you.